Hello and welcome to Fire in the Valley. Today we'll have myself, Mighty Pete, and we're joined by the Mary McGuigan. Good afternoon to you.
Hello, Pete.
Listen, thank you for coming on the show, Mary. It's great to have you on. It's taken a while to get each of us here, so it's wonderful to finally be in the right place. So welcome to the show. So Mary, tell us, who are you, what do you do, and where are you from?
My name is Mary McGuigan. I run Corporate and Creative Image, which is a personal styling consultancy. My background, believe it or not, is actually in accountancy, but I took a leap of faith a few years ago, which is where I met you, funny enough, when we were doing some personal development. And I decided that I wanted to do something that was more colorful and creative, wouldn't you know? And I wanted to do something that was going to help people. And everybody kept saying, oh, just do what you're really passionate about. I don't know what I'm really passionate about. And when I look back at my journals now, it's funny because the words color and image were all over it. They must have been in every single sentence when I was trying to write down what I wanted to do. And I realized over that whole time of getting really into personal development that I really wanted to help people feel more visible, because throughout the whole point of me wanting to change careers was I just didn't feel very visible in all respects. Physically, your opinion didn't matter. You see, when you're in accountancy, you just are a number cruncher. Okay. Nobody really wants you to give your opinion. And I just couldn't help myself, because if I could see someone could be saving money by not renting premises, especially when they're maybe a service-based business, then I just couldn't help myself and had to tell them that. But the bosses were like, no, you just do the numbers. You just work out the numbers. That's really boring. And my experience with that is numbers are the biggest pile of you know what. And really, they'll tell you whatever you want them to tell you. And that's the thing that people get messed up with numbers. They think, oh, but my sales were this, but my profit was that. I'm like, well, what does that mean? That doesn't mean anything unless you're comparing it to last year's, or unless you're setting a goal for next year. They don't really understand that. But anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. I realized, through all that, I wanted to be more visible in my career, in my life, in general. And I had a few personal styling sessions myself, thinking that this would help me, especially when we were on the topic, funny enough, of self-image, which I really loved. And I really loved the whole concept of it. I thought it was psycho-cybernetics I love the book. I love the whole the scientific approach to it. And mindset wise, how basically just because you're bankrupt doesn't mean you're a loser. One is a fact, you're bankrupt, the other one is your opinion. And you can change one of them, absolutely. In fact, maybe you could even change both, but you'll not be able to change one unless you change the other. So I realized, after I had a few of my own personal styling sessions, I realized, why do more people not know about this? Why is this not common knowledge? This should be like everywhere. Everybody should know everything about this. And so I vowed to do more training in it, to do more studying. And that was the start of my business. The start, might I add. It has deviated and changed direction from then. So that was probably around 2020.
So how long were you doing accountancy then, out of interest?
Probably about, trying to work out my eldest daughter's age, 11 years, yeah.
Wow. So accountancy, 11 years, you take the head stackers and go, there's more to life than this.
I it had been going on a while, but yeah, I eventually, yeah. Babies get in the way, getting married, doing houses up. And then eventually the voices in the head, yeah, you have to start listening to them, don't you?
Do you think, I mean, where did the accountancy come from? Is that in the family? Is that just something?
Well, here's where all they were all tied together. I did accountancy because I had my eldest daughter, Grace, and I was working in the Hilton in Belfast, and I was working in their accounts department, but it was I had got in there because I was covering a string of maternity leaves that had happened around just before 2008, and so I went back there to work. And the height of the recession, there were no jobs, and basically I was lucky to still be in there because I wasn't on a permanent contract, but I had been there long enough that people were kind enough to offer me to cover holidays or leave or things like that. But I knew I actually needed to go and get a permanent job, and I decided that I would do accountancy because I was already a single parent, and I didn't want people to think that I had finished my degree and I ended up a single parent with no job. I just couldn't have that. I just couldn't. So I got into accountancy, yes. And I got the yellow pages. This is in the days before, social media. I got the yellow pages and I sat with a page and I wrote out every accountancy firm in Belfast, probably got to about 60. And I sent letters to them all because, bear in mind, even though I had a degree in business and finance, it means nothing, absolutely nothing. That everybody wants experience. So I even offered to go in voluntarily 1 or 2 days, but somebody came back to me and gave me a job and threw me in at the deep end, which was probably a good thing, really, because that's how I learned. And yeah, I thought, this is great, I'll get into accountancy and then I'll be really, really good with my own finances. And oh God, I might even be a multi-millionaire after this. Nope, I just watched people make a loss. That was all I did. And really, I thought, yeah, I actually only care about my own finances. I don't care about doing other people's. Apart from telling them when they could save more money. That seemed to be the only thing I actually enjoyed telling them. But yeah, that was all about my image. How I got into accountancy.
Wow. Isn't it amazing the journey you take? And as you said, almost felt like that's, you had to do that just to almost justify the degree and everything else, right? Just to sort of, I mean, looking back, do you think it was the wrong decision, or it's maybe a bit strong, is it?
Yeah, I think it was the wrong decision, but I don't regret making it because I do think I had to do something wrong to really wake myself up. I mean, if I had done something, I quite enjoyed working in hospitality, but the money's really poor, like really poor. And I could have, I was happy that I could have stayed there and floated about, but the responsibility of being a parent and feeling like you have to wise up is what pushed me on to looking for a better job. And then the fear of, God, I have to get one that looks really good and I have to get one really quickly. So sort of taking whatever comes first. Yeah. So, and I did learn a lot through it that I even carry with me today, because I don't need an accountant. I can do my own accounts. And even when I talk to clients and stuff who are struggling, I still, not too much accountancy advice, but I do give helpful tips and understand whenever everybody panics about getting a HMRC letter, I know what ones they should be panicking about and what ones they shouldn't.
Isn't that amazing? The fact that, I don't know, I mean, do the two worlds collide? Is there a correlation between, image and accountancy?
Yes and no. Yes, because I do feel, I went from working with customers all my life to working with clients, which is very different, because that is people, when you deal with customers, you're always getting a slap on the wrist if you're not smiling and being, doing all the things on the list that you're supposed to, because you might get an undercover customer or whatever. Whereas when they're clients, when they are coming to you because they don't know something and they need your expertise, and it's a different relationship because it's more sort of where you feel a bit more valued. Well, that's certainly the way I felt. Even in accountancy, I just felt, when they were asking me questions, maybe something wasn't working out with payroll, I felt like I knew the answer to that, and I felt valued. So in that respect, yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? It's just that. I mean, is it all about service, do you think? I mean, it's all about sort of helping others, because you seem to be a very people person. Have I picked that up correctly?
Yeah, but it wasn't always. I seemed to be a people person, but I absolutely hated working in retail. I hated being stuck behind a desk, like I started off in reception in when I worked in hospitality, and I didn't like it at all. I really didn't like it. The only reason I didn't like it was because I wasn't a natural smiler. I couldn't stand like this all day long, and it would be there'd always be like, no, you have to smile, you have to stand, you have to look, you have to smile, and it was just, I don't enjoy this. And I suppose I didn't really understand then either about I didn't understand my customer. I think that was the thing, and I've learned a lot since then. But I done a post on this recently. When the guests arrived, they would ring the reception if the slightest thing was wrong. If the light wasn't working, they wouldn't be ringing housekeeping or engineering, they'd be ringing you. They couldn't find the menu in the room, they'd ring you. If they didn't know where to go for dinner, wouldn't ring concierge, they would ring you. And it's the same, I'd be like, why are they ringing me? Oh God, phones going mad, crazy, and you have to answer within 3 rings, have to get everything done. And I was like, oh God, I hate this. This is stress, this is pressure. But clients still do that now. I mean, if they've separated, they ring me. If they've just had a baby, they ring me. And if they're going for a job promotion, they ring me. And who am I to say, you're through to the wrong person? That's just, you're just who they want, and you're the only person that they've seen that spoke to them.
It almost feels like there's a full circle gone here. You've gone from the hospitality sector, both I suppose reception and all the different areas there. You go through the accountancy side, and then you're back into almost, it's a service, right? It's it's hospitality, but on drugs, in a nice, very polite way.
Yeah.
It's an amazing service, right? That you can actually, as you say, people will phone you for God knows what, right? Because they just almost share or need advice. That's a beautiful way to be.
Well, think about a better listener now than what I was when I was 21 working on reception. I'm 38 now, and I look back and I think, I didn't even listen to half of those people checking in. I was like, oh yeah, you here for a special occasion? Trying to tick all the boxes on the computer. Where now if someone rings me, I sit with a notepad and a pen, and I don't write anything in it until they're off the phone to me, till they've finished speaking, till they've finished saying whatever it is they need to say. I don't ramble on about what I can offer them or what I can do. I say a little bit at the end, but I save all that for an email, because really they've rang me to get things off their chest, to see if I can help them. There's no point me rambling on and talking to them, because that's not me listening. So I've learned a lot about listening, and I realize how not good I was at it in the past.
Has that become a bit of a superpower for you then, that sort of ability to connect and listen?
Yeah, I'd say so, definitely. I think I honestly can say, hand on heart, that any client that I've had, I've always been able, I've always had something in common with them. There's always been, we've always been aligned in some way. We've always had something similar. And I think that's a really good thing. I've never had one where I've had to roll my eyes and think, oh God, that was, that was awful. Because you do worry, you know, you do worry, are you going to be the right fit for them more than anything? Because it really is all about personality. But I think the message and stuff that I try to give out in social media is just my personality, in the hope that people have seen that and they'll know, yeah, I'll give her a shot. And to ward off people that won't suit.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, are you, I'm going to ask an open question here. I mean, is it down to almost like the law of attraction? You find you attract those that you should, and you don't attract those that maybe you can't serve or just aren't for you right now. I mean, do you believe that is the case?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, there's enough work for everybody. You're never going to, when someone out there's need is getting met, there's someone else out there whose need isn't getting met. So I do believe that it's just all about aligning, you know, your values and your beliefs with other people. And that's really what visibility is all about. It's, you know, because as human beings in general, we're quite visual. I mean, I know learning styles and stuff, some people are auditory, some people are kinesthetic, that would be me. But we're very attracted to bright, shiny objects. And you know, the difference between you standing in a networking event full of 100 odd people and someone coming over to you because you to them are a shite brownie object. And I'm not saying about being the most clashiest person in the room, you know, polka dots and stripes and whatever, but it's just something that's caught their eye more than anything. You know, that's what visibility is all about. And when they speak to you, then they're not, you know, what they saw is what they get. It's not that as soon as you open your mouth, they're like, oh, right, okay, it doesn't matter. You know?
There is some statistic, you know, where people, was it that within a couple of seconds of seeing someone or whatever, they've decided whether they're going to like them or get on with them or whatever, right? Yeah. You know, the eyes and our sight is hugely important, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And yeah. I suppose from your aspect, then that sort of, you know, that image, is it key then to get your image correct? Then, you know, that then dovetails into, you know, how people will actually respond to you and how people will connect with you. Is it?
I think what's really important is that your image is authentic to you. And a lot of people, you know, the saying, be yourself, everyone else is taken. Well, I hate that saying. I hated it with a passion, because I thought, well, how do you know who to be? Like, how do you know who you are? Like, where's the answers? Where is it wrote down? And I think, yeah, I think you really need to know who you are. And it's not something that's just done, you know, you do a personal development course and it's done, oh, I know who I am now. And then a couple of months later, you do something else and you're like, oh, I'm different now. I know who I am now. It's continuous, it's ever changing, and it's ever growing. And I think really studying yourself and learning a lot about yourself, like, people are all really surprised when we do a styling session and I'm like, oh, didn't know you like that. And they're like, neither did I. was like, well, there you go, there's something you've learned about yourself. And people are very confident at telling you what they don't like, you know. I'm like, well, what about jeans? Like, oh. And I can tell the difference between when someone doesn't like something, that's fine, that's part of their personality, or when someone is really just doesn't have the confidence to wear something, because the two reactions are completely different. And it's something I've caught on to merely just through my own observations with clients. So I always prod the things that they're not quite confident. So I keep coming back to them, or keep bringing them up in conversation, or keep talking about them today, because that is the thing. It's getting to the bottom. What is that? What is that that's holding them back from that? It might be something someone said. It might be they think they're too old. They don't think they're good enough to wear it. And it's getting to all those issues, because that's how they grow more confident. That's how they grow happier in themselves.
That's mad, isn't it? I mean, how we almost decide what we're going to wear Is it based on paradigms? Is it based on self-beliefs and just from growing up? I mean,
Yeah.
do we observe our parents and are we similarly dressed to our parents? Is that a thing?
Yeah. Oh yeah, like in our family there was it's quite hilarious really, because in my family we're all very small chested, and yet my granny was like, now just be careful of how low that top is. Like, so anytime anybody wore anything with a slightly plunging neckline, it was like, oh, has Granny seen that? Has Granny seen you wearing that yet? So, none of us, nobody in my family dresses like that, no matter what their shape is. It's just, yeah, it's just something that was always, you don't want your granny to see you like that.
Isn't it funny how, like, multiple generations on, right? And they do still have an impact, right? They do still have would they typically sort of carry a classic dress, a sort of a dressed style that sort of through the years, there may be less trend, modern trend or current trend, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, more classy, I would say. Yeah, that's a common theme. Yeah, in my family. And funny enough, lots of, I imagine other personal stylists come across this as well, that they attract clients that have a certain fit into a certain style personality, and mine would definitely be like a classy. It would definitely be somebody that wants to have a classy style, or thinks that they already have one, but they're not really sure about how to dress it.
So take us through then. So accountancy wasn't for you. You got this, you got styling sessions, and ultimately, as you say, you thought everyone should be doing this. And at which point you said, I wonder, could I do this, right? Or
Yep.
what sort of evolved it forward then to really where you are today?
Well, I think I started the training it and stuff, and I thought, I was still working at accountancy, and I thought, God, I wonder if I'm gonna have time for this with my job. And now I don't have time for my job. I do a few hours. That's not my main job at all. And it's funny, the pandemic had been a blessing in disguise, because I was furloughed, and I used to, time did not matter. Didn't matter if it was 9 o'clock in the morning or it was 2 o'clock in the morning, because everything had to go online. So I was doing my training online, and I had the freedom to do it. And I thought, if you don't recognize this, Mary, as an opportunity, you'll never recognize an opportunity. Come on now. And I thought, yeah, I meant to do this. This was for me. The situation was all designed for me. So I got really stuck into it. And I was in, the birth of Clubhouse was all through the pandemic as well. So there was a lot of listening. People always think, you have to, the training's all done through, professional courses and qualifications and credentials. But the training's really done through, listening and practice, and hearing other people's stories as well. That's certainly the way it was for me, because I heard like so many I was in these really, like, you were probably in them too, these great entrepreneurial rooms, and I could still hear them saying like, oh, I know, but you have to find something to wear for it, don't you? And that they were talking about when events were open, were if and when they'd open up again. And I thought, my God, I think something multi-entrepreneur wouldn't be like, thinking about what to wear with it. And I thought, so it affects everybody. It doesn't really matter what your level of income is at all.
There's a whole expectation, right? I mean, and I suppose certainly I would imagine a lot more so for females than males. And I'm not saying that's good or bad, but typically men have, half a dozen types of suits and a tuxedo, and that's them pretty much covered for 90% of events. Whereas obviously for women, it's very different, right?
Man, I hate to say it, but you are actually easier, like a lot easier, because you're more logical, and it's just, I need something for this. And it's generally because they don't have the time, or they just can't, like, I just want to know what to wear Monday to Sunday, 7 outfits, that's it. Women, it's a lot more emotional. It's a lot more of, maybe just because they go through a lot more changes physically as well. And every so, we've got puberty, and then they've, having babies, and then there's menopause, and there's a constant change, and not weight gain, weight loss. I know men go through, weight gain and weight loss as well, but for women, it's just, the journey is a lot longer. It's a lot more emotional as well. Yeah.
Is there a certain age group or sex or type that you would particularly, you would serve most, or would be one of your niche?
Well, I'm usually in their 40s, mid 40s, mid 40s to late 50s. And I don't put any restriction or anything, or that anybody has to be a certain age. But I'll not get a 20-year-old coming to me. You just won't. And when I was 20, I wouldn't. If someone said, "What about going to a personal stylist?" Like, I already know what to wear. Thank you very much. Because that's
you know it, right?
Yeah, you know everything when you're 20. You know everything until you don't. But and usually career women, people are always asking me about workwear, whether they work in our office or run their own business. And it's seemingly about being visible in the workplace. That is a big thing.
So typically busy, middle management, upper management style. Is that a fair generalization?
Yeah.
So it's people who are, they're power dressing, or they are dressing for their title, their role, or whatever, to make an impression, right?
Yeah.
That's powerful. And just give me an idea, how do one of your sessions go about? I mean, do you have a process that you go through, or?
Well, I do have a process, but often it gets through out the window. Because
it's a sign of genius when you can do that, where you can just work whatever, right?
Yeah, I know, and I'm thankful I can still do that, because I know when I get really busy that I will have to stick to some kind of regimented format. But usually it changes because I try to accommodate the client as much as I can, or I mean, a few times I've had people and I think they want to come on a personal shopping trip, and then once I get actually properly talking to them, I'm thinking, I think you already have enough clothes. I don't think you need to go shopping. I think you need to just rework your own wardrobe. You probably need, one or two things. So then instead of it feeling like they've made a mistake by buying one service, I usually just try and accommodate, maybe with an online service as well. And a lot of the time, like I get a lot of women and they can't look in the mirror, and they think personal shopping's gonna fix that. And I'm thinking, I don't think that's what you need. I think it's more self-image coaching. I think it's more, so I usually give them homework. They usually get affirmation homework and things. And I always check up on them, always check in with them. And I do let them send me pictures of things if they're going out to something and they're maybe not too sure. I think it's just that wee confidence boost that they need from me saying, yeah, that's great, that works brilliant. But yeah, that's so that's really how I do it. So it's the main thing I do in person is probably personal shopping, and everything else I usually do online. Now, some people do prefer in person, and that's fine, but just because all of my clients aren't in Belfast, most of it is really online.
It's interesting. You use two different terms. It's obviously this personal shopping side, and then there's the image consultancy side. And you fulfill both those roles, I take it, do you?
Yeah, the image consultancy would be more that's like female entrepreneur wanting to go in more to personal branding, to really dress to represent their business, and to represent really basically, so people don't buy products and services, they buy you, and they're wanting them to buy their products and services. So we've got to think of all that when we're thinking of dressing. I get a lot of holistic people. Yeah. Funny, because I was never into holistics at all. And then I went to a girl when the time we were studying. And ever since, I attract all these holistic people, and I think it's great. I really do. And the you know, because I always thought, like, I never would have, and this is my false belief, I never would have thought a holistic therapist would want to come to a personal stylist. Not that I thought they didn't deserve to come. I just thought, I just never didn't think it would be something they would want to do, and it's great. I love it. You always think they're very calm and they don't say F, and they do. It's brilliant.
I love it. Yeah, making the most of it. And I take it that would have a different style. I take it. I mean, do you adapt to whatever style they're trying to, because it's not all like, I need to be in the boardroom, because
No.
I'm going to assume that a lot of the holistic ones, it's not going to be about the boardroom. It's going to be about, connection and one-to-one, and very different service, right?
Yeah. Some of it's about, like, they want to dress in in their spare time and casual and sort of more, and at the weekends and things. Some of them don't wear like a typical like a pinny or anything like that. So they'll be thinking about workwear and stuff, and about their nice common colors, because I mean, if you put them in a double-breasted suit, how is our client going to feel coming to them when they're coming to feel calm and relaxed, and they're sitting there in a double-breasted suit? I mean, because that's the very definition of authority, and that's not, you'll dress somebody for the boardroom, like you say, completely differently than you'll dress someone who's in maybe like a life coach sort of a job role, because the people that's coming to them are about, they want to be anxiety free, they want to be nice and calm, they want to be relaxing, they want to be think of all of that whenever you're when you're dressing them. And the people that come to the boardroom, it's like, right, I'm a leader, I can do this job, I'm in charge, I'm again, I'm also trustworthy, obviously depending on the job role, but yeah, two different things.
You talked earlier about, I mean, color. I assume color is huge, right? So
Very big.
color, what you like. I don't know. I mean, I'm a complete novice in this part. So talk to me about color and style.
Color is, we do color analysis. Color was the thing that really got me into what I do. I didn't understand sort of, color to me was very one-dimensional. It was like red, green, blue, and that was it. We work in seasonal color analysis. So basically, we had, we've group basic colors in the seasons. So it means anybody can wear red, anybody can wear blue, anybody can wear green, but it's finding the shade that works for you. So to make things simple and to not complicate it for you, we put those into 4 seasons, and that works based on your skin tone, your eyes, your hair color, and also your color personality. So you'll do like a little questionnaire. Certain color personalities like certain things, but also when we do the physical analysis and work out what your best color palette is, the color personality is usually and can be different. And what that gives us a challenge, which I love. I like a challenge. And not everybody loves their color palette. I can vouch for that, especially autumns for some reason. They always want the shiny, bright palettes. Because that's what all of the shops put in the window. They put all the shiny, bright, clothes, because they want you to come in and buy them. But they just don't work for everybody, because if I wore something extremely shiny and bright, it would just overpower me, and you'd be going, that's a nice top, where'd you get that top from? And whereas the whole point is that the colors work for you. So, I noticed the difference with that whenever I had mine done, that instead of people complimenting the clothes, they were complimenting me, because the clothes were doing the work for me, the color, because it's all about the colors working with each other.
I mean, you mentioned color personality. What does that mean? Do we all have a color that we prefer? Do we? Do we have a preference?
Yeah, I'm a green red.
Okay.
So some are more extroverted and some are more introverted. So I have a mixture of both. And red, as you can imagine, you don't need me to explain that too much. It's got a bit of an edge, a bit of a fiery side. Greens are quite calm and good listeners, and very intuitive and very earthy.
So you're sitting in these two categories.
Yeah, usually people normally are sort of a mixture of two. Just because of the way that and the same with style personality, people are normally a mixture of two as well. So you'll not just be a classic. And again, it's just because as we have grew up, society has changed around us so much and influenced us and our style. That's why it's too easy to be one. We'll usually be, two, maybe three. So I would have been a classic natural. So classics are born in suits basically, and love suits, and wear suits all day, every day. And natural, or jeans and a white t-shirt, and will look effortless in them. Jennifer Aniston springs to mind, like no makeup, jeans and a white t-shirt, and looks absolutely great. That's naturals. But color personality, yeah, that was something I trained in a wee bit extra for online consultations, because because everybody relied on the drapes, and I thought, well, everything will be back up by the time I've done my color analysis diploma. And it's like, it's not. Everything's not back in person again. Everything's still online. And if I come on and try and show you 50 shades of grey, you will just see grey. You won't see anything different at all. So this was a good way of me trying to basically learn more about the person, to work out what colors are better for them, as opposed to physical observation. Yeah.
And then the color palette, that's goes according to your skin tone, I take it, to your complexion.
Some people actually don't like it at all. They don't like thinking that they have to be put into a box and have to wear certain colors. You see a lot of celebrity stylists. They're like, they won't put themselves into a color palette, because then they won't be able to wear everything that comes out. It affects fashion in a way, wearing the most fashionable this and the most fashionable that, and being all about kind of, being in the limelight. But it does actually work. I totally believe in it. And I really think it helps people see you in your best light.
And is there certain colors that suit everyone?
Everybody has their best dark neutrals, their best light neutrals. And as I say, everybody has a red, everybody has a green. Some people have more, like I would have more warm and muted colors in mine. And people always think, that redheads can wear green. And I do have a lot of shades of green, but I actually don't suit mint at all, because it would really absolutely drain the life out of me. So there you go.
I'm learning something new here. So yeah, so dark greens, but not mint greens.
Most greens, not all, most. But that's part of the autumn palette. When you think about like the colors you see around autumn, then and that's how I learned. I learned by actually going out and physically seeing things and marrying them up with each other. Some people you have to, I'll sit and explain all about the season of autumn or the season of spring or whatever, and then they're like, oh, all right, I get it now. And some people, I'll send them a book of swatches, because they're maybe more visual and they can see, right, I get it. I'll just bring this with me everywhere. And now then that's me, understand. And it's making, that's something I would be really passionate about, making sure they understand it in their way. So usually I do a quick sort of learning quiz on them to see what way they best learn. They're doing a color analysis.
Well, just break that down for people, because not everyone may understand that. I mean, how do you learn?
We do a VAC quiz. So that'll be to see if you're visual, auditory, or kinesthetic. It's just a wee quick test. People enjoy doing it. They enjoy learning something about themselves. And then it means I know how you're probably best going to understand color. So some people love, and very few, you have to say, but if they're auditory, they like to know the exact names of colors. It won't be enough for me to say red. They'll want to know that it's deep tomato red, or that it's, it's not purple, it's periwinkle. Whereas the likes of anybody that's visual, they're like, just show me what it looks like. Oh, right, okay.
It's amazing just the number of colors, because I know from doing our own house at the moment and sitting with the interior designer and talking colors and that, it's like, I know walls, I know bricks, I know cement. I generally, when it gets to colors, that's when I step back. And isn't it funny? I mean, do we see different colors differently, or is it just, or why the colors?
Yeah, no, we do. And it's that whole thing. You don't see it until you see it. Like whenever, obviously, when I had all this newfound knowledge, I wanted to just completely do my living room. I wanted to do my whole house up again. I was like, something never sat well with me in this living room, and now I understand what it is. And it was really enjoyable because I understood what worked with each other, and was able to put a wee bit of be a bit of a daredevil with it as well. So I was putting, we had this lovely shade of it was like a deep tealy green in our living room in our old house, and I said, I'm going to get red check curtains. My husband's like, that's a bit out there. Like, oh, wait, you see, it'll work, because I found the perfect shade of red curtains. And goes, oh, they're not just red. I'm like, no, it had to be a certain shade. And it did. I thought, I've never have been able to do this if I hadn't known about color. And it's good. The first thing I like to teach clients with it is about within your palette there'll be those couple of colors that will work really well for you. And it doesn't mean that all autumns have the same best colors, because you'll have different hair colors. Some are really dark brown, some are blonde. So we'll all have our best colors. And I do encourage them to have clothes that are in those colors, because on those days when you really need a good kick up the backside, or you just really need to feel good and joyful, and let's be honest, we don't all wake up first thing in the morning feeling on top of the world, those outfits will help you get there. And that's the whole point of dressing for how you want to feel, not how you feel. Because if we dress how we feel, we'll all be in black and we'll be mourning all constantly.
Is it funny how, we do, well, that's it. It's like, are we going out? Are we, what are we doing, right? So the correlation between where we're going and what we're trying to do, whether it's a formal event or, family event or whatever.
Yeah.
Out of interest, what do people dress up most for? Do you know?
Well, that's a question that I like to ask, and it's always often the first question I ask. I'm like, who do you dress for? And they'll name everybody. Like, people at work, the husband, family, usually family members. Well, we're going to this family thing and I haven't seen anybody in so long, and such will be wearing this and such will be wearing that. And I'm like, right, okay, forgot about a very important person in all this, yourself. You have to dress for yourself. And the one thing that everybody worries about is, what's other people going to think? I'm like, that will pass. And I'm not saying it will pass really straight away, but you'll never do it unless you do it for yourself first. because as soon as you dress for yourself and you know that you look good and you feel really confident what you're wearing, then you'll not care about what he or she says, and people will at first notice you doing something different because you're doing something for yourself. You know, you put that together yourself. You're dressing for yourself and making yourself happy. That's new, yeah, and it's perfectly okay. So it's really important to get. That's why I always say about, you know, finding out your likes and dislikes, doing a wee bit of discovery on yourself, because people are, you know, I was the same. I was like, oh, I already know what I like and I don't like. And when I actually sat down, it was a 3-hour session, and I was like, I didn't realize I would like that, or I didn't, oh God, I didn't realize, you know, and they were like, and I remember Kira, my mentor at the time, she was like, but why do you have them in your wardrobe if you don't like them? Like, I don't know. I don't know. They were on sale. I don't know. A panic bought. I had to go out that night. I don't know. I just bought them. But it's yeah, definitely, you have to think of yourself, because it's you wearing it. It's you that it's given, you know, all of the good vibes to, or the not so good vibes.
Out of interest, I mean, how many, is a totally unscientific thing, but, you know, how many people's wardrobes truly represent them?
No, there's a good question, because I would like to know the answer, but I don't think.
It's bound to be pretty small, right?
Yeah, I don't think so. And it's not like, don't get me wrong, I mean, my wardrobe's going through a slight change, just because I'm, you know, something's shifted. I'm changing as well, but that doesn't mean that it was wrong last year. That's just who I was last year. And it's not like it's, you know, I'm going to change from having, you know, a classy wardrobe, different things you feel, you know, later we got shape and you're thinking, oh, I might show that off now because I never had.
It's, you know, I suppose it is trying to get that style. I mean, we're all sloppy dressers when we're at home, right, on our own, or are we? I assume so. I mean, and are people typically most trying to get that outfit for going out, or is it casual wear, or is it a bit of both? I mean, what are people looking for?
A lot of people do obsess more about dressing for going out. As you will have noticed with the lockdown, that loungewear became the in thing to wear. And I get it. It was, you know, our homes were never really designed for working from home. I mean, when you designed your living room, it was a nice sofa. It was comforting. It was somewhere you crashed at the end of the day and chilled up and watched a film with your loved ones. And then all of a sudden it became the office. And the sofa was not made for a suit, because, you know, you're sliding all over. If it's like mine, you'll be sliding all over the place in it. So you want to put something comfortable on because you're in that nice, comfortable environment. And then joggers have no accountability in the waist. So you eat and you eat because a lot of us, most of our needs were not getting met. You know, our psychological needs in the house all the time. So we eat. Everybody done it. Everybody was the same. And then we think, well, there's no point. We're just in the house, you know. But that's where we realized that's where the problem was. You were only ever thinking about getting ready for going out. I mean, and what I remember my mentor, Kira, saying this to me, you know, when you come home at the end of the day and you throw on your lounging around stuff, or your stuff you don't really care about, and your zip up and stuff, you know, your children see that. And this really hit home with me. I felt really sort of bad after I heard this. You know, if your children see you getting dressed up and going out to work, and then you come in and you're just, you know, throwing anything on because you're in the house with them, they see that and they don't say anything. They don't question you on it. They don't, you know, they don't even make any remarks on your outfit. but it goes in and they see that, right, so mummy gets dressed for going out. She doesn't get dressed in the house, she just wears whatever. And I thought, oh God, I didn't realize I do that. I was like, oh God. Because whenever we were growing up, our good clothes were kept for when we went out, because that was just the way things were. And, you know, I was the same. I was like, oh God, mummy puts her nice smile and makeup on her angel face on for going out, but she's, you know, the devil in the house in her joggers with us, but with a red hairband. But yeah, so I started sort of consciously making that a bit more of an effort. And, you know, even having movie night on a Friday night, I would come in, get the work gear off and dress and wear something that was both comfortable and had put a bit of effort and a bit of thought into it. And I would, you know, bring the girls in. It's like, right, what are we putting on for movie night? What are we wearing? What are we getting dressed into? But they see that as you making an effort to come to something, even if it's, right, we're having dinner in the kitchen, we're having movie night, we're going to the park. And even we simple things, I'd be like, right, girls, what color are we channeling today? What color? Pick a color. We're all going to wear the same color. And they might, you know, the older one rolls her eyes going, oh God, this is so embarrassing. But it's still something that they feel part of, and they think, oh, Mommy's making an effort for us. And the same with your loved ones as well. They know you know, they know when you've made the effort. They know, you know, it doesn't matter what you're wearing, they can see when the effort is being made.
Isn't that funny, the psychology of it? I would never have thought about that, but it's so true.
Yeah. It's not to say there's anything bad with allowing, you know, with the I know I haven't painted a good picture, but with wearing the lounge gear about, because, you know, if we're going off out to the park, I mean, I'm not putting on a suit and I'm not putting on a dress. We're putting on, you know, our nice outdoor wear, but it's simple things, you know, like I'll still put makeup on, I'll still do you know, I'll still put perfume on and things like that, and I'll put it on them and stuff. And it's, you know, that's the thing that they pick up on. It's the effort. It's not so much in what you wear.
Yeah. That must have been a huge, I'm just thinking back to my own sort of childhood, you know, and I mean, never, like, the leisure wear never used to be as big, or did it? I don't think so.
I know. And sure, you would never have got parents going to the school in pajamas. I mean, there was a big outcry of that at one stage in the papers. Parents arrive in pajamas, and I thought, God, I was like, not even gym wear. Like, I mean, it's practically the same thing. It just looks a bit better. But yeah, I don't agree with the whole pajamas in the school. I just think that really is you trying to embarrass your children.
There is levels, right? There's levels.
Yeah.
I take it there's certain things you wouldn't be seen dead in, right?
Yeah, but that's just my personal preference. That's not to say that nobody else is gonna wear them. Like, believe it or not, I don't like gym gear, and I have to wear it because it's practical. And I mean, I'm not going to go to the gym in a suit. There's I wouldn't be caught dead in ruffles and florals. I'm sorry, it's just not who I am. It's too girly for me.
I don't even know what they are, but
floral patterns, prints. No, can't see me wearing them. No.
Isn't it funny?
But that's personality. That's, you know, a lot of people that don't like, and I see this, and it's not set in stone, but this is something I noticed. A lot of people don't like florals and ruffles. Don't like the color pink either. And that's definitely true for me. And I don't get an awful. I wouldn't really get any girly clients either. You know, they want to be dressed smart, and it's not that they don't like being a girl. I mean, they very much do. And we would go dress shopping as well, but they go more for that strong female leadership sort of a role, as opposed to being girly.
Out of interest, I mean, I suppose any celebrity or somebody we might know, I mean, who who would you look at or who, who would we know that you would sort of look at for a particular style or that really appeals to you?
You already know the answer to this. Who my favorite celebrity of all time is, and that would have to be Madonna. But her style has changed and evolved so much over the years. That's probably where I got, the 90s is probably where I got my love of suits from. But even she, I don't have the same style as her. I mean, she's a lot more risque than what I would be, a lot more. But I suppose I just like a lot, really. I mean, she's probably the only person I've looked up to over the years for inspiration, and in a lot of ways, really, just for sort of not being afraid to change and still feeling authentic and strong, and having all that female empowerment about you as well. But yeah, she had a lot of influence.
No, it's funny, all the different people that we think of, like
and yet you won't see me in a conical bra anytime soon.
It's one of those things, those road cone sort of brassiere tops.
Although there may be a picture from uni about the internet somewhere.
Yeah, just to caveat it somewhere.
Yeah.
just in case it ever makes the light of day.
But I say that, I ask that as well with clients, but any celebrities in particular you like? And they're like, yeah, but I didn't like when she wore that. It's like, no, that's okay. It's not that you have to copy their style. It's just taking themes and ideas and things that you like, because the people you look up to, you don't 100% like everything about them. Otherwise, you're just going to be a copycat. There's thing, and it's joining all the wee things of our role models and people we look up to, joining those all together and see what they all have in common or how they all sort of relate, in even your own styling journey.
How closely aligned do we need to be? Because I'm just trying to think here. I don't know if because I'm sure if the smarter you dress, the better you feel, or maybe not smarter, the better you dress, whatever the perception of better is. But but then I was thinking there, I was catching my own thoughts and going, well, if I dress like Elton John, would I feel better, or would it be outside of my comfort zone? Is that is there a halfway house here?
It depends what's attracting you to Elton John. As it is creativity, is colorful outfits, is, I don't know, it depends what's attracting you. I mean, not all the time, in the bit, and when I'm running my business, and I'm always thinking, I want to be professional. I want to be, come across that I know what I'm doing. And that's why suits always spring to mind for me. But I'm not thinking about that when I'm going, out on a date with my husband. I'm just thinking, right, I want to feel like I'm, like I was when I was going out with you before we had all these children. Only now. Yeah, so it's really thinking about what your goal is. What's the feeling, what's the vibe for that moment in time, because it's not always the same thing. I mean, if I go out with the girls, it's always like, I want to be nice and colorful, I want to feel colorful for some reason, especially when I'm out with other like creative people. I'm like, right, colorful, need colors. And if it's like of a networking session, which is constantly been on Zoom lately, then I'm thinking, right, well, I want to seem like I can be trustworthy if anybody wants to have a chat with me or wants to sign up for any of my services. So I'll wear blue, and I'll always have a jacket on as well to show that I'm not just there for the crack. I'm actually there to be professional. So it's just always really just thinking about what your vibe is and what you're wanting to get, what are you wanting to achieve that day. And sometimes it's, I mean, we were talking about this recently about grief. Like colors have a lot of you know, they have psychological meanings behind them. Blue is trustworthy, red is, you know, color of danger, but also very exciting. So kind of always have to be careful of when and where you wear red. And after my grandmother died, I remember I don't wear black because it doesn't suit me and it doesn't work for me. And I used it for far too long to kind of hide my body because, you know, after I had babies, I thought, I'm not wearing anything until it looked proper again, whatever proper is supposed to be. So after my granny died, I wore green. I realized I wore green for about 3 weeks constantly. So as you imagine, I have a lot of green, so it wasn't very hard for it to fall out of my wardrobe. And it just dawned on me one day, I thought, I've been wearing a lot of green. I wonder what that means. And I looked up that green's all about calmness and wellness, but holistically, green tries to connect the head and the heart together. So when you're grieving, usually the heart is like, oh my God, what's just happened? What's going on? And the head is very direct and it's like, they've died. We went through this yesterday. They've died. And you get up the next day and it's like, oh my God, what's happened? What's happened again? What's going on? Cry, cry, cry. And the head is like, they've died. We've been through this. We're going through this every day. It has actually happened. It wasn't a dream. This is what's happened. And then they get, as the head and the heart get more aligned, both are more sympathetic to each other. So the head's like, okay, I'll explain it again because I know that you're finding it hard. They've passed away. They won't be here anymore. And the heart is, right, okay, I just want another day where I don't have to cry and I just accept what's happening. And that is really all about alignment.
Isn't it funny how, I don't know what, yeah, this is the outside, the conscious mind, and then the subconscious mind, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Some people will get this and some people won't, you know, but what we say and what we do are two different things, you know. How we feel and how we act could be two different things, right? So it's saying it's both is okay, but it's also just realizing that there's a misalignment between, you know, and I'm sure that can be the case, right? How we feel and how we dress, or how we turn up and how we dress, could be two different things, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I definitely like, I'm so a lot more into my spiritual side, and I say spiritual, not religious, because I think whenever we don't get the answers in the physical world, stepping into the spiritual world, even for meditation, even for just breathing. A good friend told me actually meditation is, because I was like, I don't have time for meditation. I'm always so busy and I would really like to meditate more. Just meditation is just breathing, you know, it's just breathing. You don't have to be lying down. And I do this now religiously every day. I take 5 very, very organized and carefully orchestrated deep breaths. And yeah, I find I can just get on with my day. And it's sometimes I can feel, especially when I'm feeling my shoulders getting really tense. And it just absolutely soothes me. And usually when I find that when I'm stuck on something, or when I can't quite get something right in my head or on paper, and I go away and I do that, and then I forget completely about what I was doing. And then later on that day, I'm like, oh, I've got it. Oh, it just came to me. Things don't just come to you. They, you know, you've made them come to you. And that's all about by being aligned. And it's the same, you know, it's working, you know, working your self-image, working your, you know, your image in general, from the inside out and from the outside in.
As you say, it's, I mean, how often do you end up with that? You know, people come for clothes and you end up talking about what's going on in their lives, or, you know, where they're trying to make the connection. Yeah,
you do. One of my friends is called the style counselor, and I remember at the start I thought, why do you call yourself that? She goes, oh, you'll see. And I thought, yeah, I get it now. But I enjoy it so much. I really do. I love hearing people's backgrounds, and I love hearing their stories, and it all helps to just develop them more. It really does.
I mean, well, what are you most passionate about, would you say then?
Visibility. I really don't think there are enough Madonnas in the world. You can change that name to Beyonce's, Nicki Minaj's, whatever you want to change that name to, but I don't think there is, because culturally women are more shy, they're more withdrawn, they don't boast about their achievements, and I just I really wanted to help more women be seen in the world for their, their skills, or the things that their passions, the things that they're really, really good at. And personal styling is just one string in my bow. That's just the way I decided to start that journey. There's many more things that we're hoping to develop for that, but it's all about female visibility. Well, visibility in general. I do deal with men as well, especially when I'm working with businesses, but one-to-ones is all mainly females.
It's interesting you said at the start, about Matthew Maltz's book, Psychocybernetics, and how that deals a lot with visibility, right? Because it's written by a surgeon or ex-surgeon, and how the physical body and the inner image, and how they can differ, right? So it's fascinating that how it's evolved even for you.
Well, I would have got that, I mean, through most of my working life. When I would work with people, when you get the staff nights out, they're like, "You're okay once you get to know you," and I'm thinking, why do people keep saying that to me? Like, what does that mean? Am I like horrible in work or something? And then whenever I was doing my my styling session, like for years, I straightened my hair, poker straight, because I thought it would make me look more professional and more leader-like. And my mentor was saying, "Now I know that you have naturally curly hair, because so did she." And she says, why do you straighten it? I'm like, I'm explaining, and she says, and she says, has anybody ever said to you that you're okay once you get to? I was like, oh my God, yes, I got that all the time. She says, yes, because I used to have that as well. And she had worked in human resources. And she says, do you know you have curly hair for a reason? Mother Nature didn't just throw it in there. It was perfectly designed for a reason. And this was to make you look more approachable. So when you're pulling that away and trying to get rid of that, says that is exactly what you're doing. You're getting rid of it. And it's all to do with kind of face shape, and the hairstyles and stuff all align very well with each other. And boy, did I learn that lesson really well. Because she says, so you probably spend about 2 hours straightening your hair. How long do you spend curling it? I'm like, well, no, it just dries like that, and then might have to touch it up a wee bit at the end. So she says, so about 15 minutes at the most. Yeah. She says, why do you give yourself more work? I'm like, I don't know. So that's that was another aha moment for me. Yeah. Not to say, I know I don't want everybody going to panic and thinking I straightened my hair. It's that was personal to me, to do with my my shapes and my coloring as well.
There's such a huge lesson there, isn't there? Just, I mean, to accept who you are, and to embrace it and embellish it, as opposed to, I've straight hair.
Yeah. I know, and I was having none of it. Like, no, that's professional, but that's the only way. And I thought, and this was kind of the older side of me as well, or the old me, I would have thought that would make me look soft. And I didn't want to look soft, because if you look soft, then you didn't get picked for leader type things. And I suppose being a wee bit burned in jobs where people maybe were promoted before me. And again, that all happened for a reason, because I was never supposed to be promoted in those jobs. I was never supposed to stay in the jobs anyway. So maybe that's probably had an effect on me as well.
if you were to pick maybe 5 things that you've learned from this transition from, accountancy right through to where you are now and what you're learning and what you're going through and all that, what 5 things have you learned from this?
I've learned a lot more about myself. I've learned about how much sort of value I placed on my own image, because I buy a hell of a lot less now actually than what I used to. I used to go out and panic buy when I had to go to something and then it wouldn't be right. But now I'm very, very confident and very comfortable with my wardrobe because I know that it's all been designed for me, and that makes me feel great. I've learned that about my body as well, body shape wise. I've learned what's specific to me, as in, there's parts of us that we can't change because that's who we are, that's in our DNA. A lot of people get obsessed with fat and weight gain and weight loss, and I know, like my trainer here would hear, any trainer hears this, I just want to change this area. I'm like, it doesn't really work like that. Yeah, you have to work it'll work all over you, and I can't decide where it comes off. But I've learned to appreciate and understand why I'm made the way that I'm made, and accept my body for the way that it is. And like it housed 4 big babies, and I'm really proud of that. I never gave it enough credit before I ever had children. I was very harsh on my body. I was like, oh god, it's like that's an extra pound on, and that was in my really thin days. And I look in the mirror every morning and I do a wee affirmation. It's usually, when I'm getting ready, I'm like, yeah, you still got it. You still look good. You've still got it. So I suppose learning to have fun with yourself, learning to, it doesn't all have to be serious, and really, not everybody's dressing for the office. Not everybody's dressing to go in and do speak at a board meeting. Some people are going out to work in a corner shop, and some people are going out to do counselling. So no matter who you are or what you're going to do, everybody has to work the gears in the morning before they do it, before they get out the door. And I've learned that I've actually learned an awful lot to trust my own intuition, because I would have been terrible for giving people the benefit of the doubt, which I always thought was a good thing, actually. But it's more about really trusting your own intuition. And I see like fakery a mile away. Yeah, a lot more than what I ever did before. And I look back at the people that I would have been looked up to, or would have been close to, or would have been loved to been going to their events or invited to their events, and I think that was an awful lot of people pleasing you did there, Mary, an awful lot. So I trust my guts an awful lot, and I think that's just about more being in alignment with myself, and accepting that you're not going to be everybody's cup of tea, because if you were, you'd be a mug.
Love it. You talk to yourself much?
To myself? Oh, all the time. All the time. Sure, nobody else will talk to me. No, I'm only joking. Yes, I do talk to myself, because it's better out than in, Pete. And if if the thoughts float about your head all the time, they'll just keep floating about there. And sometimes when you say it out loud, you're like, oh, I am being ridiculous. Or you're like, oh, so that's what's wrong with me then. I don't care. Mm-hmm. Like I was complaining to my husband about that. I felt really, I felt like I'd lost my way with style from we've moved into this house. I feel frumpy all the time. I think, and then as I was saying it to him, as I was having a rant, I was like, I know what it is. So our house was being insulated, so it's freezing, and we're double layered. We're like the Michelin man walking about the house, like layered and layered up. And I'm like, this is what I'm looking at a potato all the time. That's what's wrong. So I was like, right, I'm going back to my normal style, my nice, where I feel good about myself and I'm not like hobbling up in layers and layers and layers. Yeah. So I was like, let this be a warning for you to sort this eating out quicker. Or you'll be married to the Michelin woman.
Tell me this, what are you great at and what are you terrible at?
I'm really good with challenges. In fact, I really think,
Diamonds?
like when a client brings me like a challenge, I'm like, oh God, yes, really gets me. It means I have to think like real, putting pieces of the puzzle together, especially when they give you a list of I don't like and don't think I'm going to wear and I'm not doing and I don't like that shop or I don't. I'm like, okay. Yeah, I do. I love a challenge. And what am I not so good at? I don't. You can call this a negative or not, but I wouldn't be one for going on and on about brands, designer brands, because I think when you know what you're doing, when you work with your colors and your style, your shape, your personality, it doesn't need to be expensive. You'll look expensive anyway when you put all of those things together. When you look authentic always looks expensive. So it doesn't matter if it's Chanel or Louis Vuitton. There's nothing wrong with liking those things. I mean, I like a little bit of Burberry, but even a bit of Louis Vuitton. But I don't go on and on and on about it in, on my social media or anything, because I just don't think it helps. I don't think it would help a client. I think it's really missing the meaning. So sometimes, I don't talk enough about brands. It's probably my bad.
But that's the thing, isn't it? Sometimes, as you say, it's not about the brand, it's about the style, the fit, how you feel.
Yeah.
If the name or the label has to tell you how you feel or the reason why you feel, then you kind of go, it's kind of, there's a misalignment there. People buy a bag just because they want to feel better, and you're like, okay, so it's a bag.
There's a great TikTok I seen. It was about Jay-Z. I think it was someone who was analyzing Jay-Z's career, and they said, if you notice at the start, he was blinged. He wanted to show you that he'd money. He had gold medallions, everything, rings, hats, brands everywhere. And if you look at him now, he just wears black. That's it, because he has nothing to prove at all. He doesn't care if whereas you see the difference between when he started, when everybody had to think he had money. They had to know he had money. They had to see brands and everything. But I always find that really interesting in how they've changed.
Yeah, people evolve. Yeah, so true. So true. Tell me, what's a bit of a guilty pleasure for you?
Guilty pleasure is going whenever there's been awards on, with celebrity awards. I'm usually like, right, let's see what they've done now. Because again, it's never normally about the celebrity. It's about them showing off the brands or the brands they've been told to wear. So we normally do. Well, that would never be her style. She would never wear anything like that. Bit of a guilty pleasure.
Are you okay to watch TV with, or do you give a running commentary?
Give a running commentary. Especially if my daughter's watching the Kardashians. She hates she's like, I knew I shouldn't have let you in here. Like, I know, but I was just saying, like, it does nothing for. She's like, go, just leave. And yet I don't go around I don't go around Belfast doing that or anything. I don't go. When I first was qualified in color analysis, I used to secretly be looking at people wondering what their color palette was, but that was just because I was just like a pure color geek, and I just wanted to get out and do clients so very badly, and the COVID pandemic was against me. But Yeah, so guilty pleasure, I'm an awful people watcher, like a really bad people watcher. Like I have to look away if, if I've been staring at someone too long. And it's not, I try and smile now so people don't think I'm like looking at them, judging them. I'm like, and I always make a point of, even if it's a stranger, of telling them if I think their outfit's really nice, because I think we should do that more. I think we'd be so much in our own head thinking they're staring at me, oh my god, they must be sent up the pad. I think it's a good idea to crush that, especially if it's not true.
No, it's true. I know I have a bit of a resting bitch face, so I sometimes have to pick it and say to people, because like, what's wrong? It's like, absolutely nothing. I'm quite pleased, actually.
I had that as well. It was worse with the straight hair. Not so bad now for some reason. But yeah, resting bitch face, a lot to be said for it.
Yeah, there's a career out there for me somewhere, so.
Yeah.
Tell me, if you were to try and then describe your fire in your belly in 1 or 2 words, what would it be, Mary?
Helping women be more visible physically, online, and vibrationally, because getting all 3 of those in alignment, your visibility will be soaring. Because remember, like, vibrationally, visibility is opportunity. It's when someone comes and taps on your shoulder or sends you an email or comes over to you at a networking event. That is all opportunity, and that's all to do with the vibration of visibility.
Very nice. I like it. So tell us, where can people reach out, hunt you down, find out more, track you, stalk you, any of the above?
Any of the above, yeah. You can get me on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, or my website.
Wonderful. Give us a shout out.
Corporate and creative image.
Perfect. Love it. .com?
Yes. Corporate and creative image.com. Yes.
Just to narrow it
How
down.
to think about that there. Yes. No,
that's cool. And is there a final message you'd like to leave with our listeners today?
I was going to say something corny, like be yourself, everybody, but I'm not. What I will say is focus on your image, and remember that it's never a race. It's never a destination that you have to get to. It's a journey, and it will always change as you change. And if you feel like what you liked last week is different from what you like this week, that can be a good thing, because it just means you're changing ever more rapidly. And it's hard, but forget what everybody else is doing, because they're not vested in you. You're vested in you. Love it.
Mary, it's been a pleasure talking to you today. I've learned a hell of a lot more than I did know. So
glad to hear it. Glad to hear it.
Thank you for sharing all that. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Brilliant. Thank you.